welcome back to this week's episode of AMA Friday with Amy Miller, recruiting in yoga pants. So wanted to talk a little bit this week about interview process. If there's one thing I know for sure, it's that people hate interviewing. Nobody enjoys it. We are not having a good time. There is no fun to be had here. I get it. It is not fun. It's not even that fun as the interviewer, because I'm always afraid, like, am I asking stupid questions? Am I going to make a bad joke or accidentally swear? Like, it's a lot of pressure, okay? So just so you know what the other side goes through. But in all seriousness, I get it. And it's probably one of the bigger complaints from job seekers is just confusion about the interview process and how many people you're going to have to meet. And is it a panel? Is it one-on-ones? Is it a group setting? Is it going to be, 3 months from now? Like, there's a lot that just creates angst in the system, right? So I want to just kind of ground ourselves in a couple things. First and foremost, why the hell do we bother doing interviews? And then I want to talk through what a process could look like. I won't say should, because somebody won't like it. Just saying. But based on, what I've experienced, particularly with FANG companies the last several years, I feel like the process is fairly streamlined. It feels really lengthy for some folks, and I have definitely gotten pushback. But I've also heard from candidates, so people who've actually gone through the process, not the armchair quarterbacks over on LinkedIn, but people who've actually gone through the process, a number of them have told me that it is the single best interview experience that they've ever had. Because, and I believe this fully, because we focus on the purpose of the interview and we stay grounded in that. And what is the purpose of the interview, you might ask? Here it is. The purpose of an interview is to gather data to confirm a hiring decision. Okay? This is important, y'all. We are gathering data to help us come to a clear consensus and to confirm, grounded in facts, that we are making the right hiring decision. That can be a yes decision, that could be a no decision, that could be a not right now, not this role decision. It can vary depending on the company and how they're structured and how many similar roles there might be, things like that. I get it. But the overall goal of an interview process is gathering data to confirm a hiring decision. That's super, super important. So I want us to stay grounded in that. I get that not every company is that mature. A lot of startups, for example, they're in the very early stages of building their team. It's a lot of, founders calling their buddies, those kinds of things. I get it. Ripe for bias, but that's an argument for another video. And I really think that one of the first things a smart company can do when they start getting to that critical stage and they're really going to start getting serious about hiring is get yourself a tenured senior recruiter who has built recruiting processes. Because this stuff is no joke. Don't even get me started on the OFCCP compliance aspect for larger companies. Like, there are things that we have to do to be within compliance and to be within the constraints of the law, as far as the questions we ask, the way the interviews are structured, things like that. So there's a lot going on behind the scenes you may or may not know about. That's why I'm here. That's why I make these videos. Okay, so if we are grounded in the fact, and I believe most companies are, that the purpose of the interview is to gather data to make a hiring decision, let's walk through how we are gathering that data. It often starts with an initial recruiter phone screen. So a lot of people will make a comment or a complaint, right? Well, I had to talk to 7 different people. Yeah, you probably did. Let's talk about why. So the interview process often can look like this. Now, again, my experience is FANG related, US centric. I get it. Different countries, different size companies, industries are going to have different ways of doing this. But for the most part, this is kind of a rough example of what a great interview process could look like. And I want to give you this framework to help you come up with the right questions to ask your recruiter the next time you're considering going into an interview process with a company. So a lot of times it starts with a recruiter phone screen, okay? So this is where maybe you've applied, maybe I've gone and found you, but I'm getting on a call with you and I'm just trying to unpack, what is it that you're good at? Tell me about your accomplishments. Let's make sure that we have clear alignment to this role. Want to make sure that you're interested in the position, that you are actually available for the position. If we're asking you to relocate, that's a possibility for you, that your compensation is in the right range. So we're not even necessarily vetting for the specific role. We're really kind of vetting for that early stage potential fit, location, comp, all those other things are important. And then just kind of a high level, walk me through how you've used these tools, what you've accomplished with these criteria, how you've solved similar problems, those kinds of things. So it's a little higher level, but it's just kind of vetting. It's that initial checkbox, right? Like, yeah, this is somebody I want to go on a second date with, right? Is another way to think of it. Recruiting and dating analogies, it really, yeah, I should find a better one. So that's the phone screen, okay? The second step is often usually can be by phone, maybe over video call, whatever. I think a lot of places are still doing video interviews, which is fine. But the second step is often a technical phone screen or a technical phone interview or a technical screen or whatever you call it. With my company, we do a technical call between usually the hiring manager. Sometimes it'll be someone from the hiring manager's team, but it's usually someone that sits pretty close to the role and is able to go a little bit deeper into some of the technical aspects and just looking for that overall technical fit for the role, okay? Just enough that we can say, yep, we're checking those boxes. We believe that there's some goodness here that we can continue to unpack. Let's go ahead and do a formal interview where we're now going to dig deeper and gather more data and make that final hiring decision. Okay, so that's two people you've talked to so far. Now we're moving on to, we'll call it the on-site. Of course, again, some companies are virtual, so it's a virtual on-site, that's fine. But the idea here is that this is the final step in that interview process. You could meet anywhere from probably 3 to 5 people. And each of those people, this is the important part. They are going to have specific focus areas. Okay? So 3 to 5 people, it's probably a series of one-on-ones. It might be a group. I don't like group interviews myself, but I know some companies do. That's fine. But the idea here is that each of these people is going to have specific role-related competencies, technical areas of expertise. Again, if you're dealing with some of like leadership principles or googliness or some of the soft skills, so to speak, you want to make sure that those are assigned to an interview and that the data you're expecting these people to gather is covering those key areas. These focus areas should be specific to the role and company, okay? So again, we can argue about culture and we can argue about the bias that can come with that. I get it. That's not what I'm referring to. I'm not saying, well, hey, he likes Sam Adams and I like Sam Adams, so yeah, I'm gonna hire him and we're gonna get beers together. No. That is not role-related competency that you should be interviewing against. These focus areas have got to be specific to the role and to the organization, okay? And y'all, that's it. We're done. We've had 3 separate touch points to gather the data that we need to make a hiring decision. And so all of this should now give us a clear yes or no. Did you notice I did not write maybe? This is important. This again, this is another key thing if you're thinking about building an interview process, if you're a recruiter who's trying to influence your company's interview process, y'all have got to put an end to this back and forth, well, just come talk to 17 more people. No. You have these touch points. You damn well have the opportunity to gather the data that you need to make a decision. The key here is making sure that you're asking the right questions and you're focused on the right competencies that are tied to the role and the problem you're trying to solve with this new hire, okay? If you are doing that, you should be able to come to a specific yes or no decision. Now, I understand that sometimes a job seeker can be a silver medalist. They can be really close. They can be, I see this all the time in my world where it's just maybe a slight technical mismatch or not enough of a specific thing. I get it. It happens. But we should be able to make that decision very, very clearly and concretely through this interview process. And that also needs to be communicated to candidates. So I do excessive prep with my candidates. I spend 30 minutes with them. I have an email with all kinds of attachments and links and things like that I send them because I want my candidates to understand this is a specific data that we're going after. This is how we're framing the questions, behavioral-based questions, looking for answers in the STAR format, and we will come to a data-driven decision at the end of it. That's it. It's that simple. Okay? So what is a job seeker to do with that information? 2 questions that I want you to ask your recruiter before you go into an interview process with the next company. Number 1, what is the interview process? I mean, get granular. How many people should I expect to talk to? What is the setup? Is it panel? Is it one-on-one? Is it spread out over a week? Is it in a single day? Like, let's get down to brass tacks. Let's get specific on what I'm going to talk about, who I'm going to see, and when that's going to happen. If a recruiter cannot explain that to you, you might want to think carefully, is this where you want to invest your time? I'm just being honest with you. If I don't have clarity on that, I'm not coming. All right, I want to know who's at the party, what kind of snacks we're going to have. Is that guy from accounting I don't like going to be there? I want to know everything. So ask for clarity. What does the interview process look like at your organization? What should I be prepared for? And the second question is, are there any competencies or data points that are not specified in the job description that I should prepare for? Are there any competencies or expectations of the role that are not specified in the job description that I should prepare for? This is where you start opening up to things like culture, leadership principles at Amazon, Googliness at Google, some of whatever. I mean, I pick on those 2 examples all the time because they're big and well known, but hopefully y'all see where I'm going with this, right? Are there any other competencies or discussion points that I should prepare for that are not in the job description? All right, friends, job seekers, take your power back, ask questions, get clear. Once you know what that process looks like, then you can decide if you want to invest your precious time. Okay? All right, as always, hit me up, amy@recruitinginyogapants.com. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what you think of this video and interview processes at companies you've been involved with. What can we do better? Give us some ideas. All right, y'all can go bitch about it on LinkedIn, or you can start telling us how this resonates with you and what we can do differently. Maybe we can affect some change. You never know. We'll see you next week.